Good morning, everyone. This is the fourth and the last day of Delphi Economic Forum, and we're here together with good colleagues and friends to discuss about media, to discuss about combating disinformation in this multipolar world during the Great Transition, as is the main subject of this year's forum. And I'd like to introduce you our guests, our friends, and colleagues, as I told you, from my left or from my right, as you see, as you are seeing us. Alex Giboi. Alex is the General Secretary of European Alliance of News Agencies. Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Claudia Nicolae is a member of the board of the European Alliance of News Agencies and head of the Romanian news agency, AGERPRES. Claudia, welcome too.
Thank you, Aimilios.
From my right, Kiril Valchev, who is General Secretary of AMNA. AMNA is the Balkan News Agency Association and Southeast Europe as well, and of course head of the Bulgarian news agency BTA.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Kiril.
Good morning.
Skender Krasniqi is the head of KosovaPress. Skender, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Ilija Musa is from FENA, is representing FENA from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Welcome.
Good morning.
And last but not least, Yannick Pasquet is the head of the bureau of AFP. This is the French news agency. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And we will start our discussion immediately. I will start with Alex, of course. We're talking about a multipolar world. We're talking about our challenges as news agencies. I think that we have to distinguish before entering the main discussion. We have to distinguish our job, what we are doing as news agencies, and how can we offer to other journalists some things in this battle against disinformation. What do you think?
We are living in challenging times, and these challenging times are affecting the whole of society, not only the media. The level of interaction between different fields has gone to a level which is so great that actually it's very, very difficult to, let's say, throw a stone in a pond here and don't have ripples 200 kilometers away. Journalism is no exception. It's becoming, in my opinion, even more important than it was due to the huge level of unfiltered information that goes around there. And news agencies now have a role which is also more important than it was before. And one of the main parts of this role is to be a filter of noise, let's call it like that. News agencies have, for many, many years, some agencies for more than 100 years, been the link between the actual events, the real events, and the media, who couldn't always afford or have the possibility to have journalists on the ground. This is also happening now, and news agencies are becoming more important in terms of reach, in terms of trustworthiness. And I think the journalists working for news agencies and the managers of news agencies basically have to start their day at work with this in mind. The fact that their work and their contribution to the media landscape is actually a more important than ever contribution to the future of our societies. That's, of course, a lot of pressure. But I think that if we have this awareness of the impact of our work, then it's done obviously with more care and with the, let's call it, end user in mind, which is the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. We'll talk later about the tools we have as journalists. We will talk, of course, about the challenges AI brings to our work, but I'd like to ask Claudia now, what is your opinion on this topic, on this issue, especially if we're taking in mind that, as Alex noticed, where the original link between the events and the other media. We're distributing the news. We're not producing the news. We're producing news, of course, but we're distributing what's happening to others. We're not commenting. We're on the field, of course. We're the main source. And I think this brings us against a duty of truth. Is it true?
First of all, I think that news agency is the pillow of news. I'm a journalist for over 20 years. I work like a reporter in newsstream, in television, in news agency, but I think that the most objective news, the principal news that all the media use is news agency news. Effectively, the type of news agency news is very objective. We have and we are obliged to relate the facts. But now I think that we move forward like a journalist, like a news agency journalist, and we transform ourselves in a fact checker. Because for everyone, not just young people, for everyone, fact checking it's a luxury. We don't have time to read all the news wire. We don't have time to remember the news that we read yesterday. We don't have time to filter all the images or all the voices that we heard. So I think that we should follow our old-fashioned journalism. We have to promote objectively news. We have to promote the basic of every news. In Romania, you will see, I think, 80% of Newswire has promoted AGERPRES news. Almost, we were the principal informer in the pandemic period, in the beginning of war, because we are border to war in Ukraine, and every news was pointed with AGERPRES. Why? Because AGERPRES is a Romanian news agency held it 135 years. In fact, if you choose to be on top so many years, you have to demonstrate in the future also that you deserve that place. And I think this is the principal fact that we have to manage, to remain objective and to keep with our straight our good information.
Thank you, Claudia. So, Kiril, we're talking about the duty of truth, we're talking about fact-checking. Are we fact-checkers, just fact-checkers, or are we checking the news first? This is, or it's supposed to be one of the basics of journalism, checking before fact-checking.
Let's start with this, that the theme, the great transition of this edition of Delphi Economic Forum is appropriated for a place where, according to Greek mythology, such a great transition also took place. Here the dragon Python guarded a sacred spring and wrapped his serpentine body 9 times over Mount Parnassus and 7 times over Delphi. Apollo, we know, killed Python and released the spring, which became a place for prediction by collective oracles called Pythias after Python. These oracles, with its predictions, began to have a great influence of the course of history and subsequent great transition in it. Who is today the Python and who is the Apollo at the source of information among traditional media, including news agencies? and social networks. The internet seems like Apollo. It frees the source of information, and many oracles appear on social network. And from their words, one can be confused just as from the double mining transfers of Pythias. We know these stories. So Pythia told the king of Lydia, Croesus, that if he attacked the Persians, a great kingdom would be destroyed, and he decided that he would destroy Persia. When he lost and blamed here it on the Delphi oracle, Pythia said she had in mind the destruction of Croesus' own kingdom, or another history. Pythia said the wooden walls would save Athens from Persians. Athenians despaired of how they would build so fast wooden walls, and Themistocle interpreted that the wooden walls were the ships of Athens, and Athenians defeated the Persian close to the island of Salamis. Just like the oracle of Delphi, anyone posting on social media can announce that they mean something different that what everyone else understood. Thus everything on social media turns out to be an opinion, an assessment, a forecast, and can be disinformation finally. Therefore, someone must guard the source of facts, as Python guarded the sacred spring of Delphi, and those guardians of the facts must be the journalists in the traditional media, and above all the news agencies. Journalists are credible source of information because our main task is to verify it. Unlike bloggers, influencers, commenters on the internet, media have editorial responsibility as opposite to social networks. And finally, news agencies always refer to a clear source of information, do not make evaluation, and give context and background. Therefore, journalists, and above all those from the news agency, can be called Python, the guardian of the sacred spring of information, which Apollo tries to kill, and place their oracles of manipulation and misinformation. I will stop here because I know that you I don't like, all of us don't like to be Python. Everybody likes to be Apollo, but let's stop here.
Or we want to be the Athenians in your story, right? I'm keeping what you noticed about the facts. We're guarding the facts, and I think this is what all before we wanted to stress. And I'll ask Skender if this applies in a period where we're using social media as well, and we're a bit obliged to follow the social media and follow the developments. Social media are part of our work also. And I mean that we're reporting news, we're reporting stories, but we're also publishing on social media. Our agencies and other media companies, of course, are publishing and are active in social media. What do you think?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you for invitation, being here in this forum. I also had the opportunity from you, Emilia, to hear a story about Delphi. Thank you for that. It is also a pleasure being here in this panel with colleagues from news agency, because we are together in two organizations, the AMNA organization and the EANA organization, when we discuss our challenges and as news agency, especially after COVID, the war in Ukraine and global changes. As news agency, we produce news. Our news are reliable and verified in advance. Until recent years, we have communicated with the public through media. But or business or institution. In recent years, as you said, with the rise of disinformation, I believe one of the tasks is to figure out how to cope with reducing disinformation, since eliminating it entirely is almost impossible with the technology that is increasing. In this regard, in recent years, we are investing not only providing verified information to our client, but also in being present directly through web and social network, as you mentioned. Here, I think we have a next challenge as news agency that we are facing. The challenge is to improve even more the quality of news and to confront with fake news, because we think that we can reduce them, because we are producing news for media. We know also that fake news receive more attention than true news. In this regard, I think we need to work more together, even more in this direction. I think also that large companies like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or X now, and others could also make a significant contribution in this direction. Their contribution will be in providing a larger space for reliable source like us as news agency. They can do this with the algorithm, because as we know, last years they don't give enough space in their place, because they want to give more for people. And this would help in two directions. First and foremost, it will reduce fake news and misinformation locally and globally. Second, and not less important for us, it will increase the traffic for us, because now a source of income has been created from our side. This will also help us in enhancing our capacity in terms of new technology and staff. In this term, I think that we must be more not through media, but direct through in web and through social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Skender. Now, Ilija, I'm coming to you, because we're talking about disinformation, we're talking about fake news, we're talking about some influences and some pressures, even pressures asked. And I'm asking you because you're representing a country which is granted, is candidate to enter the European Union, and we know that after some a bit not quite years, now has a prospect. But how can your side, FENA, fight these influences, fight these disinformation pressures?
Well, thank you once more for invitation for these nice days in Delphi. As you said, Bosnia and Herzegovina is one multipolar country, and that was hundreds of years ago. From Ottoman Empire, from former Yugoslavia, and it's now. We have three constitutive nations in Bosnia and Herzegovina and other citizens, and we are really in multipolar world. So if we talk about role of news agency, we have really facts in our news. We made media space peaceful. We try to do that, and we have a lot of problems in this time to going to European Union. We are trying to go there, but I'm not sure how fast that will go. The current national division in Bosnia and Herzegovina has conditioned the operation of three parallel media systems. We have Croatian, Serbs, and Bosniaks parallel media systems, which each of them operate partially of cater of their audience by dissemination predominantly the ideas of one side. And that's the biggest problem in Bosnia and Herzegovina. For example, 2 days ago we had the news about NATO deploying troops in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And that's news from one really official source, this Vice President of Parliament in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And yesterday we had news that are not NATO troops which are going to fight Serbs in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that are just 200 EU4 soldiers participating in military exercise in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the role of our agency could be to make some fact-checking rules in our area, to find really official sources. We have to source verification, to reviewing the relevant documents, research credible media, and verify the authenticity of information. Then publish that. We have also problem with social media, but also with online media. They don't have to register at any ministry, in any step of our governance, and that's the biggest problem of Bosnia and Herzegovina in this time.
Another big problem of the social media is the anonymity. And I'd like to ask Yannick about your experience and your personal experience and your experience as member of AFP as well, because your family, your professional family, AFP, I think it was the first agency which performed fact-checking. What is your experience, not only in Greece, but in general?
First of all, thank you for having me this morning. We are all journalists, so it doesn't matter if you are a fact-checker, a print journalist, a photographer, or a VJ, a video journalist. We have to check all the news. We have to prove and be very rigorous in what we publish every day. I will give you a short input of what AFP does in this matter. Fact-checking has become an editorial priority of AFP. We started in 2017 to build a network of of journalists working on digital investigation. Now we have 150 journalists all over the world doing only digital investigations. So AFP is fact-checking as a fact-checking department in 80 countries. And publishes fact-checkings in 26 languages. In Greece, just to give you an example, the AFP team, we have about 10 full-time journalists, and 2 of them are dedicated to publish fact-checkings in Greek and in English. AFP publishes about more than 20 fact-checkings every week on average. So a day, sorry. And a week, it's more than 150 fact-checkings. The main topics we had last year regarding fact-checking was, of course, still the pandemic. We still have to debunk a lot of fake or misleading news regarding the pandemic, even if we have the feeling it's over or it's behind us. The war in Ukraine, of course. Climate change is a big challenge regarding fact-checking. And now, of course, the conflict between Hamas and Israel. What is at stake also regarding fact-checking, and what is really important, especially for AFP, is the manipulations of images. We use several tools to prove that an image is fake or was manipulated, but it's really, really, really at the top of our agenda.
Nice to notice that. And coming back to Alex, I want to ask you about the tools we have as journalists and as news agencies as well. We're talking about AI, we're talking about digitalization, we're talking about social media. What should we do with our staff, with our people, and how institutions like EANA can help us to fight disinformation and to prove that we can offer a better product, a better journalistic product?
Thank you for the question. EANA's role is that of an integrator. EANA is a provider of insights and a provider of networks, which allows the members to discuss and to gain knowledge which otherwise would have been more difficult to get to. EANA has a growing European weight in the sense of importance and in the sense of interaction with the European institutions. I was, for example, happy to be invited at the beginning of this year as the representative of EANA to attend a conference organized by the Belgian presidency. So this means that the impact of the organization European-wise and European-wide is growing. Now, I want to go back a bit to what my colleague from FENA said regarding that example of the news article with the NATO deployment, etc. I think it raises a very good question and a very important situation, which is linked also to your question, regarding the quality and the level of trustworthiness of information coming from public officials. News agencies, obviously, are the ones which pick up the message, transcribe it, do not interpret it. But during these days in which the overall quality, it seems, of public speech is going down, the role of news agencies is becoming more difficult and more important, because now you have to really check the information you get in press conferences. Politicians are obviously always trying to make their own points, set their own agendas, etc. But that, and I noticed that lately, this doesn't really stop very much from disseminating fake news or misleading information, and that makes news agencies work even harder. Because usually journalists go to press conferences, they write it down, they record it, then they transcribe, then they write the news, and they publish it on the newswire. But what do you do if the person who's giving the statements is actually lying? Right? So this is a challenge. In order to verify all of the information that you get as a news agency from press conferences or press releases coming from officials, that's a lot. Right. So that leads me to another part of your question. News agencies have to be supported. My opinion is that as basic and main providers of fact-based news, news agencies need support, and they need this support in both financially and in terms of guaranteeing independence. You know, there's this sometimes this belief, which is wrong, and it shouldn't be like this, that whoever is paying dictates the outcome of the product. This shouldn't be the case in journalism. So the challenge is to secure financing for news agencies while maintaining their independence. Financing allows news agencies to, and I'm speaking mostly now because we are representatives mostly of public news agencies, with the exemption of KosovaPress, which is private. Having this support from the states who finance you, while guaranteeing your independence, will allow news agencies to invest in technologies, to invest in human resources, which is actually the two basic solutions of what news agencies can and should do in order to maintain relevance and in order to be able to continue to fulfill their purpose. The media landscape is changing, to say the least. And governments need news agencies as a pillar of information. They can, this way, they can at least try to make sure that truth gets to the people eventually. So I see this as a fundamental step for the future of societies also. And the second one, and I'm going to finish in a bit, is media literacy. Media literacy is a subject which is really, really important because it also affects both journalists and the public. Whoever says that, oh yes, media literacy, we have to teach the public the difference between fakes and the truth and the difference between different news sources, etc. But also journalists need media literacy courses.
Of course.
Awareness courses in which they are made to better understand their role in societies, which is increasing in importance and in reach. So I'm a very passionate advocate of media literacy, and I think that it guarantees the future of both the societies and the media, because if you don't have a public anymore in 10 years' time, you invest in technology and human resources for nothing today.
You're right. You're right.
Thank you.
You're right, and I think that this provides, on the other hand, this provides that journalists are also interested in media literacy, in education, and to my personal experience, you're right. When a journalist makes a mistake, which is common, we're making mistakes. All people are making mistakes. I don't know if there's someone who does not make a mistake.
Good.
It's Saturday. If a news agency makes a mistake, it's a political issue, especially if we're talking about public news agencies like ours. And I'd like to ask you, Claudia, if it's true, and according to what Alex told, if you're sharing the same opinion that we must be supported more and more, and what you are doing in AGERPRES to educate your staff.
I couldn't say no at this answer. You know that when you are a public institution, you stay and you ask every time for more and more. But you have also the challenge to do things and to manage all the things with what you have, because you have to keep following the future path of your agency. And like a journalist, I used every time all the mechanism that the technology gives me. I began with pen and paper, sending by fax my news. I learned very quickly using the computer and the internet. Every one of this table, I think, doesn't have in the past one professor for that. And now we face with the new technology, and I think that our challenges and our future is to embrace that. And I heard last week's one very interesting topic. Don't blame bots. Bots are not making fake check or fake news. Humans are behind that bot. So we have to embrace all the technology that help us to recognize like journalists, what is real and what is not real. But also regarding to our security of news, we have to promote and we have to embrace also all the partnership between our institution and another institution. Because in Romania, AGERPRES has many partnerships with Directorate of Cybersecurity, because we need it. We can't send our news if our platform is not secure. We had, in the pandemic period in Romania, important news stream who was duplicated by hackers. It's a true and it's a fact now also. And regarding all these topics, I think that there are important some data. A report made by Statista in 2023 said that most trusted media, and in that opinion 49% of viewers trust in public TV, radio station and public institution. I think it's a challenge for us also, because the people returning to our news. And also, the same Statista said, majority feel confident they can recognize this information. 12% very confident, and 42% somewhat confident. There are some dates for us very useful, because we can continue to make our profession in our way, using in the same time the new technology. We try to catch up also the younger generation. In AGERPRES, we felt and we see every time that our public is under 45 years. It's upper 45 years. For the youngest people, we try to put our, let's say one example, we try to put our archive, photo archive on NFTs. And last year we launched our series with 30 NFTs, and all 30 NFTs were sold in just 15 minutes. So the interest is, but we, like old journalists, we have to go to their platforms, not to stand and to wait that younger people came on our platforms. I think this is the challenge.
Thank you, Claudia. Kiril, what do you think? What is our future path as agencies, as news agencies?
I finished my previous notes that we are Python, guardian of the facts, but we don't like to be Python. Everybody likes to be Apollo. And the question is, how can journalists, and above all those from our news agencies, not be on the side of the old and defeated by the new? News agencies needs to change with new strategy and new instruments. This is the topic of our discussion here. We must understand that we are not the center of the world. As well, Delphi already knows that it is not the center of the world as it was on Scott. What does mean? I have 8 short points. First, we have to develop new founding models. We have to find a new way to finance the battle of real news against fake news, which is free of charge. Should we remain mute when someone lies unless someone else pays us to tell the truth? Or we need to find the balance between information as a human right and information for sale on the market. The response cannot be media bans or social network restrictions or suspensions of the internet and mobile applications, because it is possible for a short or longer time, but never forever. Second, we must continue to follow professional standards. It does mean facts before opinion. We must do very responsibly and ethically our job. Third, we should better use social network, not fight for money with them. News agencies must be present everywhere on the internet and in all forms. Short news, photos, video, audio, infographics. We have to work very well with young people and to present not only on Facebook, X and LinkedIn, but also in Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and etc. Fourth, we should use artificial intelligence, not fear it. AI has great potential for fake news, but also for real news. transcriptions, subscriptions, translations, creating of databases. We have to use this. Fifth, we need to invest in training the people who work in new agencies. Before we develop artificial intelligence, we must develop natural human intelligence. AI cannot replace journalists, live reporter at the scene of events because artificial intelligence works with knowledge already accumulated in the past, but cannot reflect the news at the real moment. Sixth, we must invest in our archives and especially in their digitalization. This will allow us to better present the background and context of the news. Seventh, we need to build a working network for the cooperation of national news agencies. Actually, we are a good example. AMNA, Association of Balkan News Agencies. Aimilios, you were our first president of this organization. The headquarters is in Bulgaria. EANA is another very good example for the cooperation. And eight, we need cooperation between regional association of news agencies like AMNA, EANA, OANA, this is Asia agencies. But I announced these 8 points in Japan last month. It was a congress there of OANA, and I choose 8 because 8 is very important in Japan. It's open hieroglyph, open to the future, and they like a lot 8. But in our world, it's better to have 9 points, and thanks to Alex, I can say the 9th point. We have to separate the flows of news from official sources like press release or press conferences and the source of our reporters. And we did this in Bulgarian news agencies. Now we have one flow with official announcement, original text, and one flow from our reporters. And everybody knows that this news is from BTA, this news is from government, from party, or from somebody else. So, in conclusion, I would like to say news agencies prove capable of change will depend on whether they remain Python-like guardians of the source of information or Apollo-like bearers of light with real news. And the challenge is news agencies to be guard of the source of information from misinformation, but also to be a free source of real news.
Thank you, Kiril, for your remarks. Yannick, I'll come to you because it's interesting to hear you describing the business model of AFP. Are there any changes with the AI or with the things we're just discussing?
Yes, of course. There are big changes because as my colleague Alex told us, official sources are no more always reliable, and the challenge for a news agency journalist is to be accurate, reliable, and to produce, to publish news very quickly. This is a huge, huge, huge challenge, believe me, because to verify information, you need time. And we, the IFP, but all the news agencies, we have to be quick. So it's one of the biggest...
Quick and reliable as well.
Yes. This is one of the biggest challenges we have. But let me be a bit more optimistic for the future. And I think even if, or because we are confronted with all this fake and misleading information news, not only on social medias, but everywhere now, there is a need of the public, of the audience, for reliable, for accurate news. And this is, I think, where news agencies have their future, to be more and more, even more, every day more accurate, verify every single informations. And for that, we need, I think, to be extremely careful with social medias, but we need to be on the ground. Let me give you an example. In Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. We have, unfortunately, AFP has lost a colleague last May. One of our colleagues, Arman Soldin, died in Ukraine on the battlefield. He was killed. You can imagine the enormous loss it was for us, but we need to be on the field. We need to go on assignment, on mission, even if it's dangerous, because this is a future not only of news agency journalists, this is a future of journalism. As long as we are on the spot, as long as we go on assignment, even if it's dangerous, difficult, we will produce good and reliable information.
Thank you very much. Skender, how do you face all these challenges in KosovaPress? Because you are a newly founded agency with limited resources, comparing to AFP, for example. What is the way you are facing all these challenges?
Thank you, Aimilios. It is not easy because we are, as you said, a private news agency. We are producing more and more products to have more money to have for journalism, because before we have produced just text, and now it has more than 15 years that we are producing video news, live news to cover for TV station, to help them because in lower cost like before. But we are seeing that they have a lot of challenge of TV station media, old media. They have a lot of problem of having money like before, because a lot of money are going to in marketing, not to TV station or to newspaper, but are going to social media and through social media. And for that, it is difficult now, and we are facing with that, and we are working hard to change ourselves, how to be more in social media and to help media in this direction.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Ilija, I'd like to ask you about the ways you are facing all these challenges too, especially in the framework you described. You are a multipolar country with some special issues. You talked about three media systems, which are parallel. What's your opinion?
Well, as you said, I live in that multipolar country, and three different media systems are in some relations which are not really nice. So we have numerous of examples, for example, of Serbs. They are mostly Orthodox Christians, and in Russian-Ukrainian war, they choose one side. You have also Bosniaks, which are predominantly Muslims, and they are in Israeli-Palestinian war on one side. And you have Croats on third side, which want to be close to EU members. And so that atmosphere where the people in Bosnia and Herzegovina in this situation, they are looking for older brothers. Political elites use the relationships for their own positioning. And that's the biggest problem. They use social media, online media, which are not registered, and we have to make big steps for spread of any negative propaganda. And it's expected that by joining of European Union and under the supervision of developed democracies, our country takes significant steps in regulating public communication. And in that case, the role of news agency plays a crucial role of combating disinformation by providing reliable information, conducting investigative journalism, educating the people, that's this media literacy, conducting collaboration with other media, and organized to address the challenges of multipolar world.
Thank you very much. We can say that we're representing media diplomacy, and I'm saying that because I'm watching in the audience the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Gerapetritis, is with us. So we're representing media diplomacy, right? I'd like to thank you very much for this discussion. I'd like to thank you for accepting this invitation to be there, to be here and discuss all these things in this multipolar world about the great transition and how we in our news agencies are combating the disinformation in this challenging era. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.